Alright, so you've got your book completely done. You've written the book, you've done all your drafts, you've got it all edited. You even got your map in the front of the book. You've got it all formatted, it's looking great, but you're still missing one thing. You're missing a cover. And you need a cover that's going to resonate with readers from whatever genre you're in. Here's the thing, covers don't have to be all that difficult to acquire. In fact, they can be really easy to acquire, and not only easy, but they can also be very affordable. I'm going to show you how. It's time for another author side quest. Let's get it. Let me tell you all about Get Covers. Get Covers is a company that makes book covers and other things such as audiobook covers, social media images, banners, advertisements, all sorts of things. In fact, Get Covers does a lot of things that you might not have any skills to do, but that's okay. That's why they do it. And they do it for a very reasonable price. Let me show you. Alright, so say that you want a book cover. Click on book covers on the home page and it brings you to this page where it has all sorts of book cover designs. It'll tell you all the information that you need to know, but let me compare the packages for you. They've got basic, they've got standard, and they've got premium. Premium only costs $35 and it comes with basically everything you could ever want. If you click yes, they'll also include a marketing materials bundle with custom 3D mock-up, book release, or cover reveal banner, ad image, social media banner, etc. It's really kind of awesome. You can look down here and see all sorts of different examples of some of the work that they've been doing. But for all the things that you get in this package, $75 is a great deal for your cover, and you'll get a really good professional looking cover design. I went through the whole process of getting a cover with them, and now I'm going to show you each step in the process that we went through, each stage, and I'll talk to you about how the process worked with me and the discussion I had with the designers. So the first thing that you do is you go through an intake form. It's a form that you tell them all about your project. You tell them the title, you tell them the subtitle, you tell them your author name, you tell them what trim size you're aiming for, you tell them what publishing platform, if you know. You don't have to tell them. You tell them what kind of information you want on the back cover. You give them a description of what you're hoping to see in the cover. And after you give them all that information, what they're going to do is they're going to ask you to give them some example covers of some covers that you really like. And this part of the process is really important because if you give them a bunch of different covers with a wide variety of different styles, it's going to be hard for them to pinpoint exactly what you're looking for. And so it's going to take a little bit longer for you to get through the initial process to dial in what you're looking for in your cover. But once you do all these things, then the fun starts. They're going to send you a link to deposit photos, and what they're going to have you do is they're going to have you pick out a whole bunch of different images and photos that you might like to see in your cover. Now, they're not going to use every photo. I sent them probably 20 something photos of different guys in armor and girls with bows and arrows and dragons and castles and all sorts of different things I'd like to see in there. And then they start compiling and making a composition of what they would think would look best for your cover. Once they send you the initial composition, you're going to get to see what they're going with, and you can make all sorts of suggestions to get them going in a different direction or to keep going in the same direction but to make adjustments. In my case, I was still working on a couple of different things for my book Stone and Sky. It was really interesting. I had two characters that I was debating about putting on the front cover. Because my book is an ensemble cast for an epic fantasy, it was hard for me to choose exactly who needed to be on the front cover. At first I went with one of my characters, Ilaria, but then eventually after discussing it with some close friends of mine, we decided that it wasn't quite right and I needed it to have a little more masculine touch on it. So after that I asked them to include my other character, Orin, so that I could have both of them on the front cover. They had no problems with that. We added a dragon and there was a castle and there was all sorts of really cool things. I also had another friend of mine who's a graphic designer working on a digital logo for me as well. He gave me some logos that turned out pretty good. I ended up taking them, moving them around, doing a little bit of graphical work on it myself to make the logo look really cool. At the end of the day, it actually didn't work out because the logo that we came up with wasn't really fitting the vibe of the cover. Now let me show you each cover that we ended up with in sequential order. At the end of the day, we ended up with 8 different covers that we went through and finally landed on one that I liked. Let's go through it. So this was the first cover that they sent me. This was a really great start. It had everything that I was asking for them to give to me. In fact, when I first got this rendition back, I was blown away. And after seeing a a potential cover for my book for the very first time, I was freaking out. I thought it was amazing. But after I sat with it and took a day to really look at it, go back to it over and over and over, look at it from different angles, have a couple other people look at it, we made some decisions. One of the things that we noticed on the back of the book, it looked very plain, and we were gonna have to fix that with the wording. Also, that was my first attempt at a blurb, and it was terrible. Boom. Now this is number 2. This is after we decided that we needed a male character on the front as well. We made some adjustments. As you can see, we had book 1 on the front, we had book 1 on the spine, which is super awesome. We made some changes to make the back look a little bit better, but still needed work. So for this one, we started making some big changes. One of the things that we changed was having the logo on the front and having the logo on the back, having the number on the spine changed to fit with the theme. And also we made some adjustments to the blurb on the back, including rewriting it and putting bolded phrases to break up the lines. We also had some minor adjustments that we had to make, like the sword was touching the top of Valaria's head, and some of the words and things were just a little too close. One of the Photoshop croppings was a little bit messy and had to get cleaned up. These are things that you look for when you're looking at it, and make sure you look closely so that you can catch any of those Photoshop errors that they might not have caught. It's not that they're not good at it, it's just sometimes when you're going and you're doing all sorts of projects, sometimes you can miss little details. So it's important for you as the author to double check, make sure all the details look fine, everything looks right before you approve anything. And last but not least, the final version. In the end, it didn't really work with the Stone and Sky logo that we had designed, and I decided that this particular cover would look better with the original font that they used for the Stone and Sky title. Now all of this is really cool, but you might be asking, hey Zach, that's all great and all, but how does it work when you need to make adjustments? Well, it's really cool. They have this messaging system that you work through. It's called their client dashboard, and you have your own space within the dashboard to work with the designer that they've assigned to you. Now whenever you need them to make adjustments, I highly recommend that you do 2 things. 1, make sure you describe it in bullet point form so that they know each step individually. Second thing that I highly encourage that you do in this process when you need to make adjustments, edit the photo and attach the edited photo to the message when you're trying to explain the adjustments. Let me show you how you do that. If you have a Windows computer, this is a really simple thing to do. You open up your image in the previewer, you click on these 3 dots, and you click markup. Then you can click on the marker and decide what color you want. You want a color that's really going to stand out when they're looking at your image so that they don't miss it. So for example, if I decided that I wanted them to change this number 1 and make it a different item, I would take a color such as a bright blue that I know they can't miss, because I really don't have any really bright blues like that, right? So I would circle this, and I could even, put a little arrow to it. Or, for example, if I think this dragon needs to be just a little bigger, I can say, I want to make it bigger. Okay, just like that. Boom. After you do that, you save it, bam, letting your ink dry, done. Now when you go back to your folder, it has saved itself as a separate image, and you can see that it saves the things that I put in there. I would just rename them revisions so that you don't get yourself confused whatsoever. And that's it. You upload it into the messaging system, you tell them step by step the things that you need adjusted, and boom, they'll send you an adjusted one. They will not tell you that the job is done until the job is done, until you approve the final product. If you think this cover turned out really cool, let me know in the comments. Also, if you're interested in Stone and Sky, I've got 7 free prelude stories that you can download for free so that you can learn about some of the characters that show up in my book, Stone and Sky. And you can get those at freefantasyfiction.com. Look, getting your cover doesn't have to be an expensive endeavor, and I paid for the extra stuff just because I thought it would be worth it. And honestly, there is some really good stuff in there. If you don't feel like you need some of that stuff, you can go with a lower tier. It is very inexpensive to do so. And Get Covers makes this process super simple. If you're looking to get a professional looking cover for your book in a timely manner for an inexpensive price, I can't recommend Get Covers highly enough. There's a link in the description below. Go ahead, get started today. Having an epic cover is a great way to get your book in front of more people, and it's really not that hard. I hope this video was super helpful for you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.